Class 12th, Subject Physics, 15th chapter, Structure of Atoms and Nuclei. Structure of Atoms and Nuclei. From the chapter, let us see the atomic spectra. We know that when a metallic object is heated, it will emit radiation of different wavelengths. So when any metallic object is heated, it will give rise to the radiation of different wavelengths. When this radiation is passed through a prism, a continuous spectrum is observed. On the other hand, when hydrogen gas is heated inside a glass tube to high temperature, the emitted radiation has only a few selected wavelengths. When a hydrogen gas is heated inside a glass tube to high temperature, then the emitted radiation has only a few selected wavelengths, that is particular wavelengths. And when it is passed through a prism, a line spectrum is observed for the visible region. So in case of hydrogen atom, if the radiations are emitted by it when it is heated to high temperature, at that time, if this radiation is passed through the prism, then instead of continuous spectrum, it will give rise to the line spectrum. That is, the lines will be observed for different wavelengths in case of this hydrogen gas, and therefore these lines in the spectrum are called as the emission lines. So in case of this hydrogen spectrum, these are the lines which are emitted. So these are the emission lines having particular wavelengths for the visible region. So in this visible region, from 410 nanometer to 656 nanometer, these are some of the selected wavelengths for the emission lines. So this will represent visible region. Towards the left side of this visible region, there will be ultraviolet region, and towards right of this visible region, there will be infrared region. So this diagram will represent the emission lines or the line spectrum of the hydrogen atom. The spectral lines can be divided into groups, and these groups are known as the series. So these spectral lines are divided into groups which are called as series. Now these series are given by the names of scientists. So these different series will be given the names of different scientists. In case of hydrogen gas, these series are Lyman series, Balmer series, Paschen series, Brackett series, P-Fund series. Lyman series, Balmer series, Paschen series, Brackett series, and P-Fund series. Now, the observed wavelength of the emission lines are found to obey the relation. The emission lines will obey the relation, that is 1 by lambda equal to R into 1 by n square minus 1 by m square. 1 by lambda equal to R into 1 by n square minus 1 by m square, where lambda will represent the wavelength of that emission line. R will represent a constant further which will be called as Rydberg constant, while n and m are the integers which will take values 1, 2, 3 and so on. So this will be regarding hydrogen spectrum. Now let us see the next point, that is radii of orbits. We will have to obtain the expression for radius of orbit of the revolving electron, and therefore the next point is radii of orbits. In order to obtain this relation for the radii of orbits, let us consider some of the terms. So let ME represents mass of an electron. ME represents mass of an electron. Vn will represent the velocity of the electron in the nth stable orbit. So we will consider here nth stable orbit, and for that nth stable orbit, Pn represents velocity of the electron in that orbit. Similarly, let Rn, which represents the radius of nth stable orbit. Rn will represent radius of nth stable orbit. So this relation will be obtained by using Bohr's atomic model, that is postulates of Bohr's atomic model. Already we have studied the three postulates. Out of these, first two postulates we will have to consider, and therefore according to first postulate of Bohr's atomic model, me Pn square upon Rn, that is centripetal force, is equal to Ze square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Rn square, that is this side is nothing but the electrostatic force. So according to first postulate, we know that centripetal force for the circular motion of the electron is provided by the electrostatic force of attraction between the positively charged nucleus and the negatively charged electrons. Therefore we will get me Pn square upon Rn, that is centripetal force, equal to Z into E square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Rn square. So this is the electrostatic force, equation number 1. In this equation 1, Z represents the atomic number for that given element. Z is the atomic number. Similarly, according to second postulate of Bohr's atomic model, so from the second postulate, which gives the angular momentum of that electron is equal to integral multiple of h upon 2 pi, it will be mathematically given as me Pn Rn. This will represent angular momentum of that electron in the nth stable orbit, that will be equal to n into h upon 2 pi, nh upon 2 pi, equation number 2, where this n is called as principal quantum number. So in this way we will get two equations from two postulates of Bohr's atomic model. Now let us consider first equation again. So from this first equation we can write equation for me Pn square. So me Pn square will be equal to Z E square Rn upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Rn square. One Rn from this square will get cancelled with this Rn, and we will get Z E square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Rn. That is me Pn square will be equal to Z E square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Rn, equation number 3. Similarly, from second equation we will get again equation for me Pn square, and therefore squaring equation number 2. So we have to square this equation so that we will get square, and therefore squaring this equation we will get me square Pn square Rn square of left side will be equal to n square h square upon 4 pi square. So we have taken the square of this second equation, and therefore we will get me square Pn square Rn square equal to n square h square upon 4 pi square. And from this relation we can write equation for me Pn square. So me Pn square will be equal to n square h square upon 4 pi square me rn square. N square h square upon 4 pi square me rn square, equation number 4. So in this way we have written equation number 3 and equation number 4 for this me Pn square. As for equation number 3 and 4, left side are same, therefore right side must be same, and therefore equating equation number 3 and 4. So from equations 3 and 4 we will get. So from equation 3 and 4 we will get z e square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 rn. Z e square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 rn must be equal to n square h square upon 4 pi square me rn square. N square h square upon 4 pi square me rn square. Or from this relation we will get rn equal to, this rn will get cancelled with one rn from this square, then this rn will be taken towards left and all the terms on left will be taken towards right. Therefore we will get rn will be equal to epsilon 0 n square h square epsilon 0 n square h square upon pi me z e square epsilon 0 n square h square upon pi me z into e square, equation number 5. This equation will give us the radius of Bohr orbit for nth orbit. Radius of nth orbit will be given. From this, in case of hydrogen atom, as there is only one electron, so in case of hydrogen atom there is only one electron, and therefore if we take z is equal to 1 and for n equal to 1, if z is equal to 1 here, if z is equal to 1 and n equal to 1, and putting the values of all the remaining factors, if we find out the radius of orbit for the first orbit, that is r1, then it comes out to be r1 equal to 0.053 nanometer. So this will be the radius of orbit of first orbit in case of hydrogen atom, that is for n equal to 1. Now from this relation again it is clear that as rn equal to epsilon 0 n square h square upon pi me z e square, if we put these values, that is constants, then we will get value of r1. But here epsilon 0 h pi me, that is mass of electron, z and e, all factors are constant, and therefore we can say that from this relation rn will be proportional to n square, that is rn is directly proportional to n square, that is radius of Bohr orbit is directly proportional to square of principal quantum number. Radius of Bohr orbit is directly proportional to square of principal quantum number, that is rn proportional to n square. And now epsilon 0 h square upon pi me e square, if you take this factor then it is taken as a0, and hence this a0 and rn will be related as rn equal to a0 n square. So from this epsilon 0 h square upon pi me, z will be equal to 1 and e square will be there. So this total factor will be nothing but taken as a0, that is that a0 will be nothing but, it is called as the Bohr radius and it will be denoted by a0, and therefore from this we will get that relation, that is rn will be equal to a0 into n square. So this will be relation between rn and a0. Then similarly from above equations 1 and 2 we can find out the expression for velocity, and therefore similarly we will get from equation 1 and 2 the velocity Vn, that is velocity in nth stable orbit, will be equal to ze square upon 2 epsilon 0 nh. So equation number 6, this equation will give us the velocity of the electron in nth orbit, that is stable nth orbit, Vn equal to ze square upon 2 epsilon 0 nh. So this will be regarding the radii of orbits.